What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a hoot and a holler, a banger, a never-before-told probation story. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Drop a like if you do. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and also don't forget to go check out the new merch site at goblin420.com. We've got a ton of new items for the holiday drop. Go check it out. Even if you don't plan on buying anything, just checking out the website really does help me out a lot. Thank you all for the love on that. And real quick before we get started, let's take a moment for our sponsor. This video is brought to you guys by MyBookie. From all the biggest games to the smallest events, make every bet worth your while with MyBookie. You can start by doubling your first deposit instantly with MyBookie's first deposit bonus, just by using my code GOBLIN when you sign up. There are tons of great games and prop bets to take advantage of this week, but one that I recommend is the Chiefs versus the Dallas Cowboys this Sunday. The Cowboys have been on a tear this season, and the Chiefs have continued to struggle. I would take the Cowboys to cover the spread so you can walk away with the bread at MyBookie. Don't wait any longer. Head to MyBookie today to redeem your double deposit bonus so you can get in the game and start winning today. Promo code GOBLIN will ensure that you get your doubled first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Big shout out to them. Let's dive into the video. So, this happened back in 2017, during the era of my life when I was on probation. Now, there's not a ton of stories from this period, but there's a lot that are untold, but there's not many I've posted yet, because while I was on probation, my PO knew my YouTube channel, so I had to be fairly careful with what I said and posted. We're well past that point in my life, and I don't give a flying fuck anymore. So we're going to talk about exactly what happened on probation. Expect a lot more of these untold probation stories to start coming pretty soon. But on this particular day, I was doing my usual thing. I had a plan while I was on probation where, since I couldn't smoke weed actively, I was going to try to save up as much money as I could and make a bunch of money so I'd have a lot of money once I got off probation so I could at least get some benefit out of it. Now, there was two ways that I went about making money on probation. One of them was I had a job. I worked at a bathroom remodeling company, which you OGs on the channel remember that. That was a fun fucking job, I'm not going to lie. I showed up zooted every day, but that's for a different story. But the other way that I made money was I did a little bit of salesmanship here and there on some goods that may not have been allowed to be sold. But that's, whatever. I gotta do what I gotta do. So at this point in my life, I had recently started going on the deep web and buying some shit. I was buying weed for a pretty good price and selling it to my friends because normally prior to my probation, I would have a really hard time trying to make money selling weed. I would always try to re-up and sell and always tell myself that, oh, dude, I'm only going to smoke this much, or, oh, I'm going to smoke none of it, dude, I'm going to make all the money, but I couldn't fucking help myself, and I would just end up smoking more than I sold, so I would always break even if I was lucky. This was the one point where I started actually making profit off of selling weed. So, obviously, the best deals were not really with the plugs in my area. And at 2017, at this point, I had a lot of friends going on the deep web. Ashton, that's where he got all his shit. And I had started dabbling in it too. Now, this was nowhere near my first deep web purchase, and I was fairly versed in it, so I knew what I was doing. But for those of you guys who know much about the deep web or maybe used it back in those days, there was two really big markets that people went on that are both now shut down. The first one being Alphabay, which was one of the biggest, and the second one being a website called Hansa. Now, both of these have been seized by the feds a long time ago and taken down, but at the time, this was kind of a weird point for those sites. Alphabay had just been seized by the feds and taken down, but the other site, Hansa, was alive and well, apparently. There's a whole, if you guys want to do some research on this, it's really interesting. The police ran Hansa as a honeypot and collected a bunch of people's information and then arrested a shitload of people. Luckily, since I just bought a little bit of weed here and there, I wasn't really who they were after, so I was okay. But on this particular day, I had hopped on Hansa because Alphabay had just gotten shut down recently, so I had to find somewhere new to get my weed. I couldn't find the vendor that I normally bought off Alphabay from, so I was looking around Hansa a little bit, trying to find someone, and I'd used Hansa a few times before prior to this, and I'd had someone that I normally went to, but they didn't have anything available for sale at this point. I'm pretty sure they shut down their account because of all the Alphabay stuff. So I'm looking around a little bit, and I decide that I'm going to go with a new vendor, Not new as in they're new to the site, but new to me, right? They had a bunch of good reviews. They had really positive feedback. I'm looking over their profile and I'm like, okay, this dude seems like the real deal. Now, I had just gotten a YouTube paycheck a few days prior to this. It wasn't anything crazy. I got, I think, like $600 or $700. But at the time, that was a lot of fucking money to me. And I was like, yo, I got to take this money and I got to make more. Like, my end goal when I got off probation was I wanted to have enough money to just buy like a pound or two of weed and just smoke the fuck up and make up for all the lost time on probation. So I'm on Hansa and I'm browsing around and I find this vendor that I just mentioned. He's got a bunch of listings for some, not the highest quality weed, but I wasn't looking for the highest quality weed. I was looking for the biggest bang for buck. I stumble across this dude who has a listing where he's got a half pound listed for $800. And it's apparently some mid-grade. Now, I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, I could probably make a pretty penny off this. It was high tier mid-grade, as he put it. I've never bought from this guy, but he had a lot of good reviews, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I gotta do what I gotta do. Now, one of the things, God, just telling the story now, it hurts me to think about. At the time when I bought this, Bitcoin was like $5,000 a Bitcoin. If whatever fucking dickhead got my money from this transaction saved the Bitcoin to this day, that like 800 I spent is worth probably like more than 8 grand now. Which I don't want to think about it. I don't know why I brought it up. I'm getting depressed. But either way, I stumble upon this vendor and he's got this half pound listing. And at this time, I had just recently opened a P.O. box. I was getting a lot of regular mail sent to it to kind of blend in, but I was also getting my packs delivered there, which is a terrible idea. Listen, I don't encourage buying anything off the internet, especially nowadays. The feds are hip to it. It's a dumb idea. You're going to get caught. Well, not guaranteed, but you're going to get fucked. But back then, it was just starting to get caught on with the feds and stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm confident in this site. He's got good reviews. This site hasn't been busted yet, to my knowledge. I'm going to buy. So I load myself up on some Bitcoin. I drop my 800 and I encrypt my shipping info. I do my best because the Alphabay shit had me scared a little bit. So I started encrypting all my messages with PGP, which for those of you guys who aren't familiar, it's basically like it's really hard to describe. It's like, just think of it like a secret code message, where you have a key and the person who receives that message has to verify your encrypted message with the key in order to reveal the actual text. Because what I typed just appears as a bunch of mumbo jumbo spam letters and numbers until you decrypt that message, right? So I take all my precautions, I encrypt my message and I place my order. I'm excited as can be, I've got my order placed and now I'm chilling. I start hitting up some of my friends and I'm like, hey, I got a pack coming in soon. Let me know if you guys want some, like if you guys need some shit, I got you. I got good deals. Now, my plan here was bare minimum. I wanted to make like $150 a zip, right? I paid $100 a zip for this, so I wanted to make minimum $150. I didn't want to tax people. I sold to my friends for the most part. Even during my peak probation, weed flipping phase, I still only really sold to my friends. I wouldn't really call myself a drug dealer. It was more so like I was the guy who, like, if my friends didn't have weed, they'd hit me up, and I had weed because I couldn't smoke any of it, So, I placed my order and I'm chilling. A little bit of time goes by. I don't remember exactly how long it took to get there. We'll say probably like a week, right? Let's say a week went by because I don't remember. But a week goes by and I finally swing by and I check my P.O. box because I figure enough time had gone by. And lo and behold, my pack is there. I'm excited as can be. I'm hype as fuck. Now, I'd never bought from this vendor, so I didn't know how the stealth was going to be. I didn't know how it was going to be packaged, but I was just happy that the box was there. Every time I walked into the post office to grab my shit out of the P.O. box, I'd always get really sketched out because I don't know, it just made me nervous. I got that little rush. I'm looking over my shoulder, I'm sitting, and I'm thinking like, dude, I feel like a SWAT officer is going to pop out of one of the bigger P.O. boxes and just fucking tase me, dude. Like I was a little nervous every time I went to the post office for shit like this. So I go into the post office and I check my P.O. box and the box is there. And I got a little extra pep in my step, man. I walk out, I go back to my car, and I drive back home. Now, once I get home, I immediately throw the box on my desk and bust it open, dude. I am enthused. I am enthralled. I've never been so excited in my life. That's probably an exaggeration. There's a few things I've been more excited for, but nevertheless, I was excited, right? New vendor, he actually came through. I was looking forward to it. I open the box, and I'm greeted by a very, very interesting method of stealth. At first, when I opened the box, I honestly thought I got fucking scammed. Because I open it, and there is a plastic-wrapped hoodie. Just a plain hoodie, looks like the cheapest shit available. And I'm sitting here, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, bro, what the, is this something, did a sub send something to my P.O. box? Did I order something I forgot? For a second there, I thought this wasn't actually the package. So I pull it out, and it is literally just like a plain Fruit of the Loom hoodie, but it's still wrapped in plastic. And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, bro, what is this? So I rip open the plastic, and I bust it open, and I gotta admit, this was a fairly creative method, and I'm absolutely shocked that this worked, quite honestly. I open it, and I realize as I'm picking it up and ripping it open that I can feel a clear lump inside of this hoodie. So then I'm like, okay, all right, there's something in here, but I've never in my life seen a stealth method like this. I'm shocked that this made it through. So the hoodie was kind of folded up and pre-wrapped, almost like I just ordered it. But when I unfolded it, in between the folds, there was just this Mylar bag in there. Just not even inside the hoodie, just folded. The hoodie was folded around this Mylar bag. So I pull this Mylar bag out. I immediately rip it the fuck open. There's another layer of Mylar. I'm like, okay. But once I get through that first layer, I start smelling the weed. And I'm like, all right, here we go. Let's fucking get it, you know? Now, the bag looked a little small upon, first glance. However, whenever you get stuff that's packaged in Mylar like that, whenever you buy weed on the deep web, usually it's pretty packed in, you're not going to get it's not like you go to the plug's house and he just throws the nugs in a bag. That shit is packed up, it's usually very tight. You kind of got to separate it. So I pull it out, and it looks a little small, but I don't think much of it. I'm like, whatever, dude. The guy said it was mid, so maybe there's some shake in there, I'm not concerned. I get through the second layer of Mylar, and then there's a vac seal, a non-Mylar one, which has got the weed in it. And I'm looking at the bud, and immediately I can tell that this is not half a pound. This is definitely a good bit of weed, but it's not the amount that I paid for it. Now, I want to say I got scammed here, but at the same time, the guy had really good feedback and he actually sent something. So I feel like this might have just been an honest mistake, but it gets a lot worse for me from here. So I'm a little skeptical about the weight on first glance, so I pull out my scale, and I pull out my little cup, and I start scaling it out, The classic. We didn't have those big, kitchen bowl scales, Hell no. Who do you think I am? I'm not moving packs like that. We had a little scale, and we put a fucking solo cup on it, we tear it, and then we fucking go, right? So, I bust out my scale, I throw the cup on there, and I start loading it up. I'm scaling this out by the ounce as well as I can, and I get about 2 ounces through. I'm separating this ounce by ounce, and I realize that there's literally no way that this is going to be half a pound. Looking at what I had left to scale, it was maybe 2.5 zips. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, I'm a little blown at this point, but probably an honest mistake, whatever, no big deal. Okay. No, it was a big fucking deal, honestly. But listen, looking back, it wasn't that huge of a deal. So I scale this all out, and I realize I've got just over a QP, which is really weird because normally, if he made a mistake, I figure maybe he just would have thrown a Q instead of an HP in there. But it was 4.5 ounces, which was a very, very strange gap of air, a very strange margin of air there. So I immediately, I'm trying to figure out what to do here, because normally when you get fucked on the deep web, there's not a fantastic chance of you getting any sort of return or any sort of benefit or anything like that. Sometimes you will, but it's not super common, I've been scammed a few times on the deep web, but I think this one honestly was just a mistake. So I hop on, I go back onto Hansa, and I immediately hit up the vendor. I go to hit up the vendor, and I'm like, hey, man, my package just got here, and it's half of the weight that I paid for, I send him a message, and I'm like, okay, he'll take care of me. I'll just work with what I've got for now, So I started hitting my friends up, letting them know I got some in. It was lighter than I expected. And I'm doing some deals. I'm trying to move it by the eighth or by the quad or even the half. I'm trying to avoid selling straight up zips because considering I paid $100 a zip for this, and it was definitely some mid, I would make a lot more breaking it down. So that's exactly what I was doing. I was offering good fucking deals. I was offering like $25 eighths. I was doing $45 quads. I gotcha, dude. Whatever you need. I was trying to at least get close to doubling up on each zip. I figured by the time I moved those first 4 zips, I'd probably have at least gotten a response from the vendor. So I wasn't super worried about it at this point because I didn't really think I'd gotten scammed. So a day or two goes by, and I don't even bother checking my Hansa account. I'm still just kind of chilling, working on getting rid of the stuff that I had. But after a few days had gone by, I kind of remembered. I was like, hey, I wonder if that guy ever responded yet. So I go back onto Hansa, and I look. The dude's profile is gone. I'm not talking like he delisted some stuff because he ran out. This boy ran off on the plug twice. Now, I still don't necessarily know if I got scammed or not, because I feel like he would have just sent nothing if the guy was exit scamming. I feel like it was an honest mistake, and then the guy probably got scared of all the alpha-based stuff and bailed on his vendor account. Because not even a week after this purchase, Hansa got taken down too. So I guess good timing on his part and the short end of the stick for me. But I had to make do with what I had. I think by the end of selling this, I was still down a little bit of money. Like, I barely broke even on this. It was pretty shitty, but I learned my lesson. I got fucked kinda, sorta, halfway, I guess, if you could say that. I don't really know. But it is what it is, man. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just wanted to share a little story about getting kinda, sorta, half scammed, half fucked on the deep web, but not really, who knows? But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Drop a like if you did. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, gamers.